Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. We are going to conduct another video tutorial on signal and system series. And in this video tutorial, I'm going to talk about impulse function or impulse signal. And in last video tutorial, we have already discussed what is the basic definition of a singularity signal or a singularity function. And impulse is a kind or the type of or the basically one of the basic singularity signal itself, right? So we are going to discuss in this video tutorial for impulse signal, right? So basically impulse signal, what is an impulse, right? As its name suggests, it is kind of impulse, a short noise. In engineering or in communication applications, this signal is usually referred as a short noise, a noise which happen to be occur for a very short duration of time, right? Ideally, when we say short, we try to limit the time as much as possible. And eventually, you know that if limiting or minimizing any time instant to the minimizing extent is basically is equal to zero. So that's what impulse function is. Impulse function is a signal or is a value which occurs only a specific point, right? But to be ideally, it should occur at time equals to zero instant. You can see that the definition says its value it is equal to a, but what time? Time should be t equal to zero. So for example, if I'm going to draw a x-axis over here and a y-axis over here, and y-axis will indicate its value. So let's say if it is going to happen at 3, so at time equal to 3 it will have a certain value, right? But when we define it in conceptual wise, so impulse signal has an infinite strength, right? That is why it is called singularity, because it involves uh, singularity or it involves infinite value. So basically it has an infinite value or it has an infinite strength. Usually for impulse type signal or short noise signal, you call it not amplitude, you not call it its strength, rather you simply known as its value. Sorry, you do not call it its value, rather you call it as a strength. So strength of the signal, sigma of t, or you in literature says it direct function as well, right? So this signal sigma of t, it is denoted by sigma of t, and it has its strength of equal to a, which is ideally it should be infinite at time equal to zero. So if I'm going to draw it ideally it will be a strength which will go for infinity. So if I'm going to ask what is the amplitude, its amplitude should be infinity, but at time equals to what? Time equals to zero. So at zero instant it appears, and then eventually next moment after the zero instant, for example, zero time equal to 0.1 or point equal to time equal to 0.01, right? It will have a no value. So that means this signal appears only at a specific interval. That is why it is called singularity. It appears and then it goes, right? That is why it is called impulse function or a short noise, right? And in signal and system code, we will be dealing with various signals which will be presented as impulse signals. Those, of course, they are ideal. So one of the basic type should be what? Unit impulse function. And if you see the definition, the only important difference is that its value is 1 when time equal to 0. So instead of infinity, now its value should be what? Equals to 1. So this strength should be what? Equals to 1 at time equals to 0. It will always be drawn like this. Let me draw it for you. Let me show you a real-time graph which I have plotted in MATLAB environment. So yeah, this is the graph. If you see in this picture, this is a complete time axis which is shown from -3 to time equals to 3, and there is only at instant time equal to 0. There is a pulse, there is a short noise which is available. It goes to the strength of 1, so its magnitude is around 1, right? You can see that it is equal to 1. So its value is equal to 1 at time equal to 0. It appears at time equal to 0 and it goes away, right away, right? So if you will not find it, you do not see its value at time equals to 1, time equals to 1.1, time equals to 10, time equals to infinity, you won't find it, right? That is why it is called singularity function. It does not have it does have a various number of points, or it does have some points available in which its value is not defined or simply do not exist. That is why impulse signal is known as or is considered as a singularity signal. I hope you have understand this impulse signal. Still, if you have any confusion, you can post your queries in comment section. Thank you so much for listening.